for giving me the opportunity. But we are going to get into some of those topics that you spoke about. And if there's any questions, obviously, you guys can ask any questions. So I am ready for that next slide. Uh, First and foremost, we want to speak about regulatory aspects. So there's a few different agencies that oversee what we do here, specifically at Smithfield, and I'll go through a overview of those agencies. The first agency is USDA, which stands for United States Department of Agriculture. They oversee meat, poultry, and egg products. They ensure that we follow all the strict handling and storage standards to prevent cross contamination. Another agency that we work closely with is FDA, Food and Drug Administration. They regulate most other foods, focusing on safety, labeling, and preventing outbreaks. For example, they enforce FSMA, which is the Food Safety Modernization Act. Another big agency that most people are aware of is OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration. That protects the workforce. They set standards for our freezer and our refrigeration team. They make sure that we provide employees with the proper PPE, and they also have regulations about extreme temperatures and exposure to extreme environments, whether that be heat or cold. But within this presentation, obviously, it's cold storage. So they set a lot of those regulations. And last but not least is SQF, which stands for Safe Quality Food. Uh, they have a GFSI benchmark. So this is voluntary for companies to opt in, but it is the most respected certification, and it assures buyers of rigorous safety and quality management practices. So again, we're SQF certified, which means we have the highest standard. Um, we follow the highest standard of producing quality meat. And I'm ready for that next slide. So we'll dive into USDA a little more. Again, USDA stands for United States Department of Agriculture. Just to give everyone a better picture, we have USDA on site. So they have an office and they're here 24/7 on site within the plant and the distribution center. So just a little more background about Smithfield Foods and where I work in Tar Heel, North Carolina. This is the biggest pork producing plant in the world. We slaughter about 38,000 hogs a day. And again, we're attached to the biggest pork plant in the world. So they have offices on site. And USDA's focus is the plant must maintain a HACCP, which stands for Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point. This is a plan that all slaughterhouses need to follow. Storage processes, they make sure we follow those. Meat must be held at 41 or below. If it's refrigerated, and if it's frozen product, it must be at 0 or below. So just to give you a little background about what we do, we maintain our cooler at 26 to 28 degrees, and we maintain our freezer at -5 to -10 degrees. And the USDA inspector is on site, so they check all of our logs daily, and they just make sure that we're following the right process. I am ready for that next slide. Next is FDA. They regulate most food, produce, dairy, seafood, packaged goods. FSMA requires documented preventative controls. An example is fresh cut lettuce is washed and then it's chilled. Dairy must stay at 45 or below during transport and display. Seafood needs a continuous temp monitoring of 41 degrees or below to stay in compliance. I'm ready for the next slide. OSHA. OSHA, again, is a big portion of what we do here. They make sure that we provide PPE to the employees. PPE stands for personal protective equipment. And that just goes in hand with gloves, face masks, boots, a safety cutter, anything that you need to perform the job safely. We're liable to provide that. Since we work in a freezer, we have to ensure that we're doing a task rotation. So not all people are in the freezer all day. So if you worked in the freezer for about maybe 2 to 4 hours, we want to rotate you so that prevents frostbite and it prevents any illnesses that might occur from working in extreme environments for too long. We also have to make sure through OSHA that we have safe racking throughout the entire facility. And we go on a weekly rack walk trying to identify any issues with racking that might have a missing screw or it might be dented too much for it to be supported. So we need to attack those issues in real time and we stay up to date with those issues. Again, another thing that OSHA helps with is the heated break areas that we have. So it's an OSHA regulation. We have a box, it's a clear box, and employees can go in there anytime they want to warm up. And that warm up break is about 15 minutes. So again, if you worked in the blast freezer for 30 minutes to an hour, you come out, you could take your 15-minute break inside a heated area, which is the heated break area is what we call it. I am ready for that next slide. Now we'll go into SQF a little more, which is Safe Quality Food. And GFSI stands for Global Food Safety Initiative. Global benchmarking body, not a government agency. It was created in 2000 by Consumer Goods Forum after a major food safety scare. This doesn't certify companies, it approves the benchmark and the safety programs that we have. So that is BRCGS, Brand Reputation Through Compliance and Global Standards. Again, this is the highest standard that you can have when you're producing quality food. And being a part of this standard is the way that we have customers like Walmart and Costco. If we did not meet that standard, we would not be able to do business with companies like that. This is what they're looking for first and foremost. So we make sure that, again, we are doing our best to provide the customer with the highest quality foods. I'm ready for that next slide. Now, logistics and warehouse challenges. I'll go over a few challenges that we face here at Smithfield. Labor shortages, high turnover, our retention rate. So high turnover, I see it from a few different angles. The hours that we work, right? The exposure to the extreme conditions. So that causes our turnover. I know that makes it a little high. People don't realize when they come on, we tell them, hey, we work in a freezer. I guess they don't realize being in a freezer for 10 hours is easy, right? It's not easy. So I think that our high turnover is a little bit of that. But also, what incentives do we provide our employees to make them want to stay and grow with the company? One initiative that Smithfield rolled out, and I think is very important, is they rolled out a free college program with, forgot the name of the company, excuse me, uh, Guild. Okay, so we partnered with Guild, and we can sign up to go to college for free, which is one of the ways we try to battle our turnover. Some of the other ways we try to battle our turnover is have points. So employees get up to 9 points. It's kind of like a sick day. So if they call out once, twice, 3 times, they're still not terminated. So they have nine times to miss work within a 1 year period before they actually get terminated. And on top of that, you have PTO, which is your uh, paid time off. So they can use their paid time off or they can use their points. But we're trying our best to retain employees because of the conditions that we do work in. And the more benefits we could give employees, the longer and the more buy-in they would give. So that's something that we focus on here at Smithfield as well. Cross-functional teamwork. So Smithfield is very departmentalized. And when I say that, I mean operations. Then you have training, which I came from training uh, just kind of went into this role about 3 weeks ago. So training, you have quality assurance, you have inventory, and we all must stay aligned. We all must, we have different agendas, that is true, but we all have a common goal. So we need to kind of break those barriers down and work together to meet these goals. But those are one of the challenges because I might be pushing this way, inventory might be pushing that way, QA might be pushing that way, but we all need to come together and agree on some things, agree to disagree. But this makes the job fun. This makes it exciting. But this is one of our challenges. Another challenge that we have is standardizing and scheduling. So depending on the schedule, right, you'll have people calling out more than others. We have 3 schedules here, so some of those schedules are on the weekend. Some people don't want to work every weekend, and I understand that. That makes sense. So just rotating people and making sure that they have an opportunity to get on other schedules is also something that we practice. So if you're in your position for 6 months and something else opens up on a different schedule, you will be one of the first ones to put a bid on it, and we'll take seniority and we'll be able to move your schedule. Now, standardization, I think, is very important because it creates a clear vision for everyone. If we standardize our processes from first shift and second shift, so we're a 24-hour operation, 24/7. So we only have 2 shifts. They're about 12 hours a day. Um, so when we do things differently from first shift to second shift, it creates a gap. So the part of standardization that makes everyone's job easier is having these issues. When we have these issues, how do we react to these issues? Do we react the same? If we're not reacting the same, we're going to create another issue somewhere else. So part of the standardization and the SOPs is making sure that everyone puts out the fire the same way. That way we have the same result. Inventory management is another issue that we run into, and we have to follow FIFO or FIFO. FIFO stands for first in, first out. FIFO stands for first expiry, first out. So again, it's the same process. It's just a different term or a different acronym. So this rotation prevents shrink and waste and tankage. So if we're not doing that rotation, then we're just having product go bad in the racks and then we have to just throw it out, right? And that's not good when we have to throw anything out. We couldn't sell it for a reason. And it's probably because there was a breakdown in, first out. We may have lost the pallet, misplaced it, couldn't find it. A couple of months later, we find it and now it's trash because it expired. So those are some of the challenges that we go through. And I'm ready for that next slide. So we're going to talk about some innovation and technology and tools that we use. RFID, which stands for radio frequency ID gun. Basically, it's a scan gun where you'll be able to scan barcodes. This allows us to track all the pallets in real time. It eliminates errors, and if there was an error, systemically we can see who created the error by who was logged in with their username on this RF gun. So we receive, we pick, we load, we stage, and we do all of our processes on the RF gun. And every time, this is warehouse 101, anytime you move anything, you scan it. You make sure that it's located to where you move it. If you start moving pallets and you don't scan it, now you have missing inventory. And it happens sometime, but we need to be on top of that, make sure that everything is scanned, everything has a home, right? We make sure we put the brooms in the same spot. So it's the same thing with a pallet. If I put a pallet somewhere, I have to scan it so I know where it is before it goes out on an order. We have 2 different LMS systems, and I have them written down here. So the first LMS system I would like to talk about is the learning management systems that we have. So we use Workday, and TrainSafe. Workday is a platform where we track employees' special trainings that they might have. So if they're onboarding and they have HR training, they might have IT training. We could document that training digitally through LMS, which is through Workday, and it's just a better than paper, right? So we're not losing paper. We make sure that they watch the video. We have all these videos on that cloud. They watch it, they get the credit for it, and now we are not losing paper. And then whenever we want to see those records, we could pull it up in real time instead of, again, digging for paper. So it's just kind of streamlining that whole process of how people get trained. Train safe. Train safe is where we keep our training materials for PIT, which stands for Powered Industrial Trucks. So that's an OSHA initiative. When we train people on this PIT, they need to retain those records for 3 years. They are certified for 3 years, and every 3 years they need a new certification through a certified trainer. So I am one of those certified trainers through Smithfield Foods. So every 3 years, I would train people to recertify them, or I need to be trained myself. And again, it's an improved tracking system. It allows you to play a PowerPoint in TrainSafe. After the PowerPoint plays, then a question prompt comes up, and then you'll have a test in real time. It'll show you the grade, and according to the OSHA standard, everyone that takes the test needs to be at an 80% or higher. So again, this helps us track all of that, and we kind of got away from the paper because we are trying to streamline how we do everything. And getting away from paper is just easier for everyone, right? It's less tracking, less headache, less missing paperwork, and you're saving the trees and you're saving money. The next LMS system I would talk about is our labor management system. So what we do for labor management systems here is called Blue Yonder. So Blue Yonder has this program that allows us to track the employees and what they're scanning in real time. So we have a bunch of engineers come in and they would conduct a time study to see how long it takes for an operator to move this pallet to this area safely, and account for bathroom breaks, any water breaks, have a little buffer in there so it's more realistic. But the beautiful thing about LMS is you get to see where your bottleneck is. So if I'm doing this one process and I keep seeing there's a lot of downtime within this one process, now I could pinpoint that function. So whether that be a put away function, a loading function, receiving function, if there's multiple gaps and time that it just doesn't add up because again the engineers set the standard. Now, if we're not meeting that standard, that's telling me that there's an issue. My job now is to find that issue. And once we eliminate that issue, we attack the root cause, and that would help everyone meet that goal. The other cool thing about LMS and how it could be implemented in a warehouse is if you hit over 100% of uh, efficiency, then you'll be compensated for it. So here, you can max out and get over 100%. That means you're working really well. You have almost no issues, and you will be paid extra for making over 100%. That means you're doing more work than what Smithfield is requiring you to do. And if you take that step and go above and beyond, they compensate you for it. So I think LMS is a really good tool to understand the traffic of your warehouse and understand the bottlenecks, but it's also a good tool to reward the people that are putting in that extra effort to meet those goals. WMS, we'll talk about that a little bit. Our WMS is called ROC, ROC. WMS stands for Warehouse Management Systems. There's a bunch of different WMSs that I've used over the time. ROC is a new one for me, so it's kind of a little outdated. There's some workarounds that we need to do, but so just to give another example, UPS, that's another company I used to work for. They used a WMS called UPS World Ship. So they had their own IT people build their WMS from scratch. Walmart also builds their WMS from scratch. Again, Smithfield, we have a third party WMS. So we bought it from a company that created this WMS. And that optimizes our space. It directs our labor. It translates to customer success with fill rate. So anything we do, moving a pallet, adjusting a count, um, loading a truck, everything is recorded on our WMS, and that's kind of how we ship our loads. So it gets to the customer on time, and then everything is like a digital BOL. So it'll get sent to the customer along with the driver, and we'll have those records digitally as well as on paper. Uh, some some new technology that we have here is tilt tables. A tilt table is basically a palletizer. So you can put the pallet on the tilt table and then you tilt the table and remove any crushed cases or any damaged pallets on the bottom. So again, I've been doing this for quite some time. This is the first time I've seen a tilt table in Smithfield, which I think is really, really um, easier for the employees because instead of down stacking the entire pallet to get that one case that's at the bottom that's crushed, you can put it in the tilt table, kind of invert it, and then you could take those cases off without down stacking the entire pallet. We have a automatic pallet wrapper, so we don't wrap pallets by hand here. We just set it next to this machine, press start, and it goes around the pallet until it has 3 layers of wrap from top to bottom. And we use a pallet wrapper called Landtech. And again, this is very good for all employees. Who wants to wrap every pallet when you're moving, 300 pallets in a shift? So again, it gives you a little break. You put your pallet there, press start, and now you're not getting dizzy. And there is some other technology that we're looking at right now. We don't have yet, but this is a robotic picking system. It's called autonomous mobile robots, AMRs for the abbreviation. So we're looking into getting AMRs. Right now, we use a third-party company to do all of our single case picking, and whether it's efficient or not efficient, that's something to be determined. But we're looking into these automatic picking machines that would probably cause less human error. Because some of the errors that we see when we are manually picking is we might say that we picked this amount of cases,
Yeah.
but we'll ship a different amount of cases, right? And then that becomes a claim for a customer, and then we have to do this a bunch of investigating to figure out, is the customer telling us something accurate? Did we actually misship it? Did it get lost in transit?
I
Um,
just clicked on it. It happens to be going, and I don't even know what it is.
I'm ready for the next slide, Corinne. We'll now go over some of the customer expectations and the transparency.
Oh,
So batch codes.
I apologize. One sec.
Batch codes show the production plant, the line, the date, and the time that the product was manufactured. So again, with a batch code on a product, it can be tracked back to the exact line in a production plant, so they can pinpoint exactly why
Okay,
it
anyway,
was recalled or
the
what
reason I called,
meat had.
good, I
And
just
that's
can't
part
set
of
up.
the HACCP plan,
Um,
HACCP,
I
and
just,
that's why we have the
I was
batch code.
talking to Julie down there with the pesticide, and apparently, the
RFID scanning at the DC, we excuse me, we record who received the pallet, who picked the pallet, who put away the pallet, and who loaded each pallet, again with the RFID scanning. And that also shows our customers some transparency when we're pulling these records in real time. We could figure out why that product was misshipped or misloaded, or what actually happened. We'll have a reference and we can interview the employee that had that last scan. Because again, it goes through many hands, but that's part of our job, right? Is to find out what happened and make sure that the right person is being held accountable, or the right person is having that conversation on why that pallet was damaged, or what could have been the issue to create that damage. Another expectation for our customers are continuous cold chain monitoring. So we put everything on a reefer trailer, which means it's a refrigerated trailer, and it has telematics. So for instance, Thermo King and Track King or Carrier E Solutions, they send real-time temperature data from the dock to the destination. So at any moment, the customer can pull the data from one of our reefers and see what the temperature was throughout transport. And again, there's different issues that we might run into. The trailer might break down. It might not be our fault, but again, if the trailer breaks down and product was not temped right for 2 hours, that's a possible rejection, right? So we have to bring it back to our DC, offload the product, have QA reinspect the product before it could go back out on the trailer. So that's just being totally transparent with our customer, saying we'll give you the access to look at all of our temperatures throughout transit. And now we're going to talk about some KPIs, which are our big KPIs right now are fill rate, which is supposed to be 100%, and on time delivery, which we call OTD, and that is supposed to be at 97%. And this will help us, one, keep a good relationship with the customer, have that open line of communication with the customer, and it holds us to our SLA, which is a service lease agreement. If we're late on with certain customers, we have to not only deliver their product, but we pay a fine. If we miss ship product for certain customers like Costco, Walmart, for instance, we'll pay a fine for misshipping product. If Walmart rejects one of our loads for any reason, right, that's another fine. So when we're working with these huge companies, not only huge companies, we want to make sure that the quality is good for everyone, but the huge companies are different than a mom and pop shop. A mom and pop shop might not have the same expectations as Walmart, right? So we try to meet Walmart's expectations by paying for our discrepancies. So again, that's some high level stuff that corporate has worked out with the company, and it just keeps us in that service lease agreement. So we keep our promises. And I am ready for that next slide, but I feel like that's the last slide. Oh, no, there's one more slide. Okay. So we'll go through some case examples and some practical strategies that we use at Smithfield and I learned over the years. So process optimization and standardization. I put that first because coming from my last position, I was a warehouse trainer. I think that it's very important for everyone to react the same way to certain situations. If we're going to get a better result, we need to follow a process. If everyone has a different process, then that's when you'll get different results. If you get different results, you don't know how your day is going to go. You cannot plan. So again, I like to use this phrase, there's not 30 best ways, there's only one best way. I don't know what that best way might be, right? But we need to discuss that one best way. And we'll continue doing that. It's called the Gimba walk. So we'll continue doing Gimbas, going to where the work is being performed, asking the employees, what's the best way to do this? So we have a process, but we also need to keep digging into that process. And that's leaning over towards continuous improvement. But we keep reevaluating that process to see if we could get something better and better and better. It might not happen the first few attempts, but it's just something that should always be on your mind. How do I make this process better? How can I save 1 minute from the process? How can I eliminate one unnecessary step from this process? The next point I want to make is making all shifts identical in procedures to yield consistent results. And I'm going to use an example now, but if I want to get a six pack, or if I want to, have a lose weight, or have a beach body, I need to have consistent a procedure, right? My consistent procedure. That consistent procedure is going to yield my result. So if I stop, let's say, doing sit-ups for 5 days, I'm not going to have the same result. Excuse me, I won't have the same results if I continue. Creating SOPs. SOPs is the heartbeat to a business, right? When a new employee comes in, you want an SOP. So they have something that they could read instead of everybody telling them, hey, do it this way. No, do it this way. No, you should do it this way. We put that best information, that one best way, we'll put it in an SOP. That way, when new people onboard, they have some reading material, they have a reference, and it's not just word of mouth, right? Like, this is actually our process. And I think that's very important for any business to thrive, because again, you want everyone informed. When everyone isn't informed the same way, then that's when you have mistakes. And when you have mistakes, you have to work harder to fix them. So we want to eliminate all the mistakes. And one of those ways to eliminate the mistakes is an SOP, have a reference point. Uh, Record historical data and analyze trends to make educated structural changes. So I'll give you one example that I used when I was a training supervisor at Smithfield. But as I spoke earlier, we had retention issues. So our turnover was really, really high. We were hiring 15 people every 2 weeks. Out of those 15 people every 2 weeks, about 6 to 8 of them were terminations within a month. And this goes back to our working environment, right? Again, it's very cold where we work. It's a long shift. You're on your feet for a very long time. You're picking up heavy cases. It's not for everyone. A lot of people are ready to get a job and they say, yeah, let me sign up. They work here for a few weeks and it's just not for them, right? It's just a different environment. Um, so what we did to combat our turnover is instead of hiring 15 people every 2 weeks, we're hiring 6 people every month. So now those 6 people are it's called selective hiring. So we're looking at the best candidates that apply within that month, and we're picking only 6 of them. Now, when we do selective hiring, we saw the decrease in our turnover. Sometimes hiring more is not the answer, right? We think we're going to hire all these people. It wasn't really getting us anywhere. We were just training people who were leaving. So we scaled back on the hiring, and now we have better training and we have better retention because we're able to put more time into the new hires that are coming on, and we're able to pick the best out of those 30 people that were applying, and we're only picking 6. Again, we're one of the highest paying in this area, so it should be hard to get a job here. It's hard work, and you shouldn't just be able to walk in and say, "Hey, I could breathe. Let me get a job." There's a little bit more requirements, right? We need to pick the right people, so our turnover isn't impacted by that. Another strategy, use the right technology and equipment to support the strategy and organization. So I'll use LMS and I'll use something that I've changed since I've been in operations. But LMS really gives us a really high level overview of what we're doing wrong and what the issues might be on the floor. So one of those issues where our shift starts at 6 a.m. But when I look at the data, nobody scans anything or signs into their system to start moving and working until about 6:30, 6:45. So there's about a 45 or a 30 to 45 minute downtime period where people are not doing anything because they're getting equipment, they're whatever the case is, right? We used to have our startup meetings. So we have a meeting every morning. It was in the break room. So we took that startup meeting from the break room to the floor where we actually work. And instead of having that startup meeting in the break room, this actually saved us 15 minutes from everyone. So uh, just to put it in a better term, we have 30 people on a shift, more or less, 30 material handlers. If we cut down that 15 minutes from every material handler, that's about 450 minutes that we got back. So instead of staying late because we're trying to finish things, we're going to leave on time now. So again, we saved 450 minutes the beginning of shift just by changing the location of where we do our startup meeting. It's little simple things like that that will get you ahead. Um, and sometimes we don't think about those things. We just want to go work and work. But sometimes it really is organization and strategy. It's not about being the hardest worker, like I'm going to do all of this. It's about making the job easier. And when you make the job easier, the employees, they respect it and they appreciate you for it. But not only that, it makes your job easier because when you're in this type of leadership role, 80% of your issues are supporting people that need your help. If you can streamline the way that you do things where people need your help less and less and they're more efficient and they're self-sufficient, then that call that they, hey, I need your help, hey, and it becomes less and less. Not saying you don't enjoy helping them, but why would anyone want to put themselves in that situation where you're putting out fires? So something that one of my old bosses told me was be proactive, not reactive. So a lot of the time we're reacting to issues. We keep reacting. How about we put a process in place that prevents the issue from happening? And that's what I focus on. How can we eliminate the issue? Because it's an issue. It's hurting everybody. We need to eliminate it. So I guess I kind of touched on the next point, identify problems early to reduce downtime and boost efficiency. So again, I just used an example where we changed the location of our startup meeting, and that saved us 15 minutes from every employee in the beginning of shift. So we should be in a way better spot today than we were yesterday. And the outcome of some of these strategies are better retention, higher efficiency, and improved customer success. Now, that was all I had for you guys, and I appreciate everybody who came on. Thank you, Corinne, for inviting me today. Now I'll be open. I'm opened up for some questions if anybody has any.